Today's story is A Little Tom Thumb. And we'll learn English through this story. Let's begin. A long time ago, there was a woodcutter who lived with his family in the forest. He and his wife had 7 sons. 6 of them were identical twins, and the youngest little brother, who was called Little Thumb. One year, the woodcutter and his wife had nothing to feed their children with. In desperation, they decided to abandon them in the forest rather than watch them die of hunger. Tom Thumb, who was not asleep, overheard the entire conversation. Early the next morning, while everyone slept, Little Thumb went to the riverbank and gathered white pebbles, much to the astonishment of the local frogs. Then he returned to the house, taking care not to wake anyone. Little Thumb, who was very clever, had planned something. Later, the woodcutter and his wife took the children to the forest, and when night fell while the children gathered wood, they abandoned them. When they realized they had been left behind, Little Thumb's brothers grew frightened. "Don't cry," Little Thumb told them. "We're not lost. I've left white pebbles along the path. We just have to follow them to get back." Meanwhile, the woodcutter and his wife were lamenting. The local lord, who learned of their hardships, had given them money to help. But their sons had disappeared. They were lost in the deepest part of the forest. But suddenly, "Daddy, Mommy, we've come back!" The parents were overjoyed, but the happiness lasted only as long as the money did. Very soon, misfortune returned, worse than before. Little Thumb overheard once again that his parents were going to abandon them in the forest. But this time, he couldn't gather little pebbles. Someone had locked the door. He had another idea, just as good as the first one. He would scatter breadcrumbs along the path. But Tom Thumb forgot that little birds love breadcrumbs. Now they were truly lost. There was no way to find the path. Little Thumb climbed a tree to see if he could spot it. There's a huge house. We're saved," he cried. "Oh, poor children. I can't let you in. A terrible ogre lives here who eats children. He'll be back soon." "Please, ma'am, let us in. We're hungry and cold. We'll hide before the ogre returns." The lady took pity and gave them food. Then she hid them in a trunk. I smell fresh meat," roared the ogre. "You're mistaken. It's the roast I prepared for you." No, my nose is infallible. Here they are, in the trunk." "Oh, I put them there to surprise you," said the frightened lady. "They'd be tastier after a night of rest." "You're right, I'll eat them tomorrow." The lady put the brothers to bed in a large bed next to the ogre's 7 daughters. "I'll come back to free you at dawn," she promised. But Little Thumb couldn't fall asleep. What if the ogre comes to swallow us while we sleep? he thought. Next to his brother's bed slept the ogre's 7 daughters. Each wore a golden crown, and Little Thumb had an idea. Without waking them, Little Thumb removed the crowns and put them on his brothers. Then he placed his brothers' hats on the ogre's daughters. At midnight, the ogre entered the room with a huge knife. "What was I about to do?" he said when he touched his daughters' crowns. Then he touched the hats and he ate his daughters. "Let's escape through the window," said Little Thumb. At dawn, the ogre went to the room. "You'll pay for this." He put on his 7-league boots, magical boots that let him run very fast, and began pursuing the brothers. He scoured the country in a few hours but didn't find them. He lay down by a tree and fell asleep. The 7 brothers were hidden. Little Thumb had an idea. He approached the ogre, removed his boots, and put them on. Since the boots were magical, they shrank in an instant to fit Little Thumb's feet perfectly. With a single step, Little Thumb crossed to the other side of the ravine. "Come and get me," he shouted to the ogre. The ogre, furious, lunged toward Little Thumb. "You won't escape," he cried. But without his boots, the ogre fell to the bottom. A terrible end for a terrible man, if that's how things are. Thanks to the 7-league boot, Little Thumb quickly found his way home. "Daddy, Mommy, we've found you. We're rich thanks to the golden crowns." Years passed, and the king heard of Little Thumb and his magical boots and appointed him royal messenger. Never before or since has there been a messenger as swift as Little Thumb. The happy end.